Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Nishmas Mordche. Few emails here. Dear Eli, I've been with MDY since Megillah Daf Beis. Not long after I started, I began to do a second Daf from Bracha's Daf Beis, aiming to catch up with the year's time. Beis Hashem. What really amazes me is how often the second Daf I'm learning has a connection with the main Daf. Often it's just a small humorous connection, like the time he told the story about kicking a ganav down an escalator and told the same story that same day in the second daf. Or the time you were cutting up Kedushas Shvius in your home. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this guy looks like he could be a professional chef. Later that day, I click on my second daf, and there you're telling a story about how you went to Makubal, and he told you that you were an excellent chef. But today, I nearly fell off my chair. At the moment, my second daf is Psachim. And today I learned Psachim Daf Mem Daled, the same day as Nazir Daf Lamed Vav, which as the ybl'c says, is the only time in Shas that the Daf is repeated word for word. And the Rosh Kodesh came to me afterwards. But what's going on here is it's two full Dapim word for word. Never in Shas do you have so many words and Dapim in a row. In Psachim it's actually like one and a half. Over here it's two. It's a whole, but it's word for word. The entire sugya. It's the longest ever. So MD Wires, some call it a coincidence. MD Wires call it a kiss from Hashem. I write this email not to Chas V'Shalom toot my horn, but in the hope that it'll inspire someone else to join the daf, as my sign-up count is currently stuck on 3. May Rebelli and the team continue your awesome work and go Mechayel L'Choyel with immense gratitude. Benny. Eli also told me yesterday that he learns very, very slowly with the Chavrusa. He does Iyun with someone. And he's learning, what Masech are you learning? Sukkah. And he was learning one line that day, and the note in the art scroll talks about Nazir Daf Lamed Vav. He thought it was also a kiss from Hashem. I've been thinking backwards and forwards, says Shapsi Cohen. You know, it's a long one. Let's do this one. Blown away seeing the MDY kids see him today. I believe that one of the reasons Daf Yomi Son Joel is that we all learn the Daf to the best of our own abilities. Sadly, so many turned out by the Gemara because we had association learning with being tested on the subject with feelings of low self-esteem and dejection by low marks on these tests. Daf Yomi allows everyone to learn Gemara for the sake of learning and feeling accomplished from the mitzvah of connecting to Hashem, period, without any of the negative baggage men experience while in yeshiva. So beautiful to see all these sweet children learning for the sake of learning without anyone judging them as to how they perform. These children will experience the real Zis-kind of learning for all their lives. Kol Kavod, Shloima Zalman, Rosenzweig, Taranto, Yishkoyach. Shapsik Cohen here, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically he thought I was insulted. Chas v'sholem, chas, not even a drop. I like the criticism because, what do you call it? The constructive criticism. You saw I did a little tshuva afterwards. My point was not to say that I was insulted. My point was to say that in the same shiur, some people enjoy it a lot and some people say it's terrible. From Kutzel Kutzel, that was my point. But we did a little tshuva in the last 2 days. I can't say that we're going to go for a 3 streak here. I wanted to thank you so much for getting my son, Saul Seton, to join the daf. He's currently in 9th grade in YDEHH. What's that? Anybody? And all he talks about is the daf. He's been an inspiration to the whole family. It's amazing what a few weeks of learning Gemara with the rabbi can do in person, to a person. Total transformation. I dedicated Thursday's daf in his honor. So I thought it's one thing if a person writes an email. It's a second thing if he takes out his checkbook and shows appreciation. No, Bemis, it touched me. He's appreciative. Thank you, Eli Seton, F263. Many Jewish newspapers have a very funny and entertaining pre-program issue. Of course, UNMDY made it to this week's issue of Jewish Views, page 85, which is available free throughout the New York area. Thank you for all you do. And hope this is Glenn Ackerman. I don't think it has anything to do with that newspaper. West Hampton, New York, ping pong dad. So it says over here, basically, that I'm moving to New York and opening up 2 shuls for $8 million each. And some of the interesting things here is it says that there's going to be indoor skiing and snowboarding. So, and also a mini safari, so we don't have to go on a Masimara. Okay. Shmuley Rubin. Rebelli, wonderful shiur, very gishmak. Yesterday's shiur with the Tum and Tahara stuff by Yoshi was great. There's been a dream of making a video game to learn these halachas. One thing I would add, use different shades of red for different levels of Tumah, and likewise with Tahara, Shmuley Rubin. If you see this, I don't know if you can get my face away from that screen, They are different levels there are shades. It's slight, but I wanted it all to be within the red family. So this was dark red and this was light. I guess you can't see so well, but it was hard. We didn't want to go to a different color completely because green is tahara, red is tumas. Then what do? We had that thing. That's why we decided to go with putting the name on it, Rishon, Sheine. But there is a slight variation if you look closely. I'm not into the emails, but Yoshi did an amazing job with the animation on today's daf. Thank you, Shmuley Becks. And finally, I don't know what the names of these kids. It just said Yosef, Kitai, 2 kids with the caps, learning. MDY kids, you see, Avi? MDY kids, this is for you. Okay, let's just jump into the sugya. The koil is sponsored by Anon Ymous from Lakewood. I saw an email here from Avi Gurwitz, the Clifton Yid. It's about that he had a problem with his shiur, and then all of a sudden he got a call from Yosef Biliak to discuss how he can resolve it. Just when I thought there was nothing left in this world that doesn't have a monthly subscription, there was MDY with me on my New Jersey Transit morning commute. Wrong. MDY also has a monthly subscription. You better sign up, Clifton or Yid. Koilel, Anon Ymous from Lakewood. The Koilel is sponsored by me supporting Torah, strengthening our bitachon. The Masech is sponsored by Maaser. The second Masech is sponsored by Nishmas Yosef by Anon Ymous. The Parnas HaChodesh, the MDY family, Nishmas, Boruch, Helfgott, Zechariah, Bracha, Ben ybl'c, Mordche, Shloima. The second sponsor of the month, Nishmas, Zechariah, Ben Moshe. The third Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmas, Moshe, Ben Yehuda, by his community, who was a Holocaust survivor, who's almost 100 years old. By Anon Ymous from Flatbush for continued Bracha, Mazel, and clarity. As yesterday we had 7 daily sponsors, today we have 0. Art of the month for complete refuah. You see, Mikatzel Katza. MDY is Mikatzel Katza. We have Goyim and we have Rosh Koilel and everything in between. One day 7 sponsors, the next day 0. One guy hates the shiur, one guy loves it. Unbelievable. Rabbi Isai, does anybody know what this is? If you know what these things are, please raise your hand. I'm going to call on you. So if you think you know what it is, I saw a bunch of hands went down. Give out down to how much? Avi, what are these things? What does tam kicker mean?
Is the taste the important part of when it comes to whether something is going to be treif or not?
Yeah.
Food goes into an item. Is the tam going to we consider the taste to be the important part?
It's almost. All right. I think by the end of today's share, we should know what tam kicker means. What? No, not really. Come here a second. Come here, Ehrenfeld. Come. His father, Reb Moshe Ehrenfeld, donated 21,000 shekel to MDY kids. Come here a second. Boshnia. הוא גם לא מדבר אנגלית כל כך. בסדר, אף אחד לא רואה אותך. שלום עליכם. תמסור את ההשלאה ותגידו ישכוח ממני. שכוח. Unbelievable. Okay. Perfect. So these are the 2 things that we're going to be discussing today. I don't want the Eilim to check out again. We actually have a very nice animation that will literally explain it beautifully. And that's going to be on Amud Beis more. But until then, please don't check out. You hear? What is tam kicker? And what does nice and tam levgam mean? Just very shortly, tam kicker means that the flavor, and I left my my hands-on thing at home, unfortunately, but it's not a big deal. Flavor, if you put any kind of flavor into food, the food becomes that flavor. So if you have treif flavor, you have pork flavor in chicken, then the chicken is like pork. If you have grapes that you soak in water, and now the water has a little bit of a grape taste, the entire cup of water becomes what? Grapes. And therefore, a Nazir cannot drink that water. Nice and tam levgam is very interesting. If the flavor is very, very simple, if the flavor is a disgusting flavor, spoiled meat, you put pork in a pot, you cooked it, and then the pork is sitting there for a few days and spoils, and that flavor goes into food, what's the halacha? Nothing, I could eat it. Because spoiled food, spoiled flavor doesn't make something treif. And therefore, if you have blias, you have things in pots, non-kosher food in a pot. You bought a pot from a guy, and there's non-kosher food in there. I don't know. We're going to see exactly, but it should be that if you cook it and the flavor goes into the food, it's nice and talam of gam. It's not the end of the world. It's only a pagam. It's not adding flavor. It's adding pagam. It's ruining it. Okay. Anyway, so let's see what we have here today. We're holding 5 lines from the top of Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph. Huh? It's not spoiled bread, but we're eating the bread. It's good bread. For the kutach, it's good. It's different. Says the Gemara, Amalei Abayo. Mimai dahai mishras laheter mitzaref l'isur hu da'aseh. So, if you remember yesterday, I did this. I'm not going to do it again, especially I don't have my props with me. But we have a piece of bread. The bread is heter. It's mutter to eat bread for a Nazir. The wine is aser. He dips the bread into wine. It absorbs the wine. And now the whole bread becomes a heter and an iser. And even though the wine part doesn't add up to a full kazayas, but together with the bread, which is a mutter part, there is a full kazayas. Now the Nazir is over and he gets malchus. I didn't mention the rush yesterday. I felt bad, but it's in the Gemara today, basically. How do we know? Maybe there's a full kazayas going on here. Maybe there's a lot of wine. Well, for that, I don't need a pasuk. That's pashut. If there's a full kazayas of wine, then who cares if there's bread or not? The Nazir just ate a full kazayas of wine. So obviously, it's talking about a case where there's not a full kazayas of wine. There's less than the amount that he's over on, but together with the other heter part, the bread part, there's a full kazayas and he's over. How do I learn that? From the word mishras. Okay. Who told you what to learn from that word? So now we're at that term, 2 words, tam ki'ikr. Very simple. A Nazir is not allowed to drink wine. But what about flavored wine water? Is he allowed to drink it? No. You take obviously not that drink that they sell, that cheap drink that has flavored grape. That's obviously... he's saying regular wine in the store here, the 5 shekel bottle is water wine. Okay, I get it. The point is, you take some grapes, you soak them in water, and if you could discern a little bit of the grape taste in the water, that's it. It's all over. It's also for the Nazir to drink it. How much can't he drink? A kazayis worth. Talking about kazayisim? No, we're not talking about reviz. Kazayisim the whole time. Okay. So let me ask you something, and Taisa says this straight out later on. If I have, logically speaking, I have one word, mishras. I can learn from that one word that the flavor of grapes equals grapes, or I can learn that a half a piece of bread and a half a kazayis of wine, they go together and the Nazir is over. Which one would you learn from the word mishras? The first one. Why the first one? Because it's much simpler. It makes a lot more sense. Common sense. I'm gonna try to learn from the pasuk the most common sense one. Flavored grapes is like grapes. That makes sense. But to take a piece of wood or bread or spaghetti and put it together with a little bit of wine and say, oh, he just ate a whole shiur of wine, that's not fair. That's not common sense. So ask the Gemara, ask Abaya, how do you know to learn from Mishras your super duper chiddush of heter mitzaref le'isur? Sounds fancy word, but we know what it is. Heter, the bread and the wine come together to make one isur. So it's time to be mazbid the sugya. There was a guy standing and watching 2 people have a fight. So he screams to Reuben, he goes, punch him in the teeth. Then he screams a second later to Shimon, punch Reuben in the teeth. So somebody says, what are you doing? Like, on whose team are you? In his? He says, no, I'm just a dentist. Okay, so Abai is here. Yesterday, he got all into Rabbi Yochanan's case. You're telling me this idea of heter mitzaref l'isur is only by a Nazir. This is not true. It's not only by a Nazir. We had it even in, just as a picture, so you remember the case. This case, a truma. Isn't it because you take the cereal together with the oil and you mitzaref l'isser? And he keeps on asking him questions. In other words, I agree to the concept of heter mitzaref to isser, but why are you limiting only to Naziros? It's also by Truma, it's also here. Today, Abaye comes with a whole different approach. There is no such thing as heter mitzaref l'isser. You should take the word mishras and learn something completely different out of it. Learn that the flavor is like the ikr. What team are you on? One day you're saying there's more of this case. The next day you're saying there's none of this case. It should be for something else. What's going on here? Well, Abaye, so the Gemara just interjects for a second. Well, yesterday he had all these questions on Rav Dimi and Rabbi Yochanan, and he asked all these questions from porridge, and then now you're saying forget about that case of heter mitzaref leisser, and there's more of these. No, forget. Mishras doesn't even come for that. Mishras should come to teach us tam ke'ikr. The flavor is like the real deal. Says Gemara, no, that's not such a big deal. What's the Sheine? Well, Rav Dimi answered every question properly. So now Abaye said, accept all the answers, everything is good. But let me ask you a different question. Mechatesa, the word mishras comes to teach you that the heter goes together with the isser, maybe comes to teach you that tam ke'ikr. Was the Sheine? Amalei dilma litin tam ke'ikr or the asa. Great. Now we have to go back. Okay, we just stuck in 3 sentences. Remove those 3 sentences. We asked a question on Abaye, but now we're going back to what we were talking about a second ago. How do you know that the word mishras comes to teach us this unbelievable chiddush that a piece of bread and a little bit of wine come together to make isser? Maybe comes to say a simpler chiddush that flavored grape water is like wine. Look at the sanya we learned mishras litin tam ke'ikar. The word mishras does come to say tam ke'ikar shim shara novim b'mayim. If you soak grapes in water, and you can actually feel the taste, chayev, a nazir is chayev. And over here I can learn from the zeros to the rest of the Torah. Sheine So here you see the 3 things the Gemara talks about. It's only there for a little bit of a reason. Naziros has these 3 kulos. Okay? A Nazir, if he says I'm a Nazir, how long is he a Nazir for? 30 days. It's not forever. Could a Nazir sell wine? If he owns wine, could he sell it? Why not? So he has no Isra Hana. Could he go to the rabbi and undo his Naziros? Yes. So it's a very, very light. The whole Naziros is an easy kind of thing. So if the Naziros has all these easy things, 3 easy things, Sheine Suris Oilam, Veini Suris Hana. V'yeshet Elisuri could go to the Rav and be matter at Hatara. Also by Tam Kicker, yet the Torah is makbid and said that even flavored water that has a little bit of grape in it is also to the Nazir. Kilei HaKerem, she's Suris Oilam. What's Kilei HaKerem? Kilei HaKerem is if you take wheat, midaraisa, you take wheat, kernels of a grain, and you plant it in a vineyard. Yechayim, Issa Daraisa. When I was searching pictures, there's actually a story in Bnei Brak. They had a building where the guy, they had like a bunch of different types of grapes growing, and one of the neighbors, a firm guy, by mistake, planted mint, nana. How do you say nana in English? What? Mint. And they said, wait a minute, that's also, it's a spice, and a spice is also, okay, whatever. So one of the neighbors came and uprooted it, and they burnt it, the whole thing. You don't like that, why not? What? No, that's the rice thing. Even vegetables is also. Even in Bnei Brak for sure. If you burn it together with the shaitels, together with everything else, there's one big fire and just burn stuff. Anyway, listen, Klei HaKerem is forever. There's no way out of it. You can't go to a Rav and do Hatar on it. And you can't sell it. You see, you have to burn it. I understand. It's only, that's why I put in the picture, Chit and Soiras, the Araisa part. Okay. So if I take a little bit klaya kerem grapes and I squeeze it into I don't know what, into my steak, and my steak tastes a little bit grapey, so now my steak should be aser, because tam ki-ikr. Yeah, now Avi, it's a little better. Tam, the flavor is like the ikr, it's like the real deal. Based on Nazir, I can learn it for the rest of the Torah. Vuadin, says the Gemara, Arla. You have a tree that's less than 3 years old. Also, if I take, like my orange tree on my porch is already, 7, 8 years old, but I'm still nervous that it's less than 3, so I don't eat from it. Every year. But maybe it's still 3, I don't know. Maybe it's Revai, maybe it's this. And now it finally died this year, because it turned out the spring. Okay, so you take an orange, and you squeeze it, it's aser, the orange is arla, you squeeze it into your steak, now your steak becomes aser. The only problem is that arla doesn't have these 3 things. What is arla missing from these things? Arla is aser bahana. Arla is very good. You can't go to the Rav and be matter it. But one thing arla is not isser oilam. I know your kash, I see it in your face, David. Because the tree eventually becomes mutter, like my tree becomes mutter. So you're going to ask me, but that fruit is also loilam. You're right, but we're talking about the actual thing, like the person, like the Nazir. Is he Nazir loilam? We're talking about him. Him and the tree are equal, I guess. Okay. V'adin la'arla b'shtayim. Arla has 2 here. So I did one of these. These 2 things are what applies to Arla, but that's enough to learn a kal v'chomer from Nazir. In other words, Arla is still 2 up on Nazir. Kilei HaKerem is 3 up on Nazir. 3 times worse than Nazir. 3 chumras. And the climb has 2. So if Nazir, the tam is kicker, flavor makes it like the real Isser. So Arla's flavor also would be... So Arla's also awesome. So bottom line is, what do you see from the word Mishras? Mishras comes to teach us, we almost lost track here. Mishras comes to teach us an idea that flavor is like Iker, tam ki Iker. So how do you know that Mishras comes to teach you that Isser is mistarf to Heter, that if you have a piece of bread, Heter mistarf l'Isser, what did I say? Isser mistarf l'Isser? Yeah, I don't know, okay, fine. Heter mistarf l'Isser. Omar lei, ahum rabbanon, ribavo, ki omar l'Rebbe. So Omar lei, ahum rabbanon, one of the rabbanon told Abaya, I don't understand your question. You're asking a question that maybe the word Mishras comes for something else. You're right, it does come for something else. This is machlokes Tanaim. You are an Amoira. You're asking a question on an Amoira, on Rabbi Yochanan. How does Rabbi Yochanan learn from the word Mishras? Hetes mistarf lis, or maybe it's coming to teach us Tam Kicker. Well, there's different Tanaim in the world. Tanaim came before you, and Rabbi Yochanan grabbed onto Rabbi Kiva. What's the problem? Rabbi Kiva. Hey, Rabbi Kiva, which Rabbi Kiva are you talking about? Rabbi Kiva the Hacha. Our Mishnah talks about Rabbi Kiva. It's not Rabbi Kiva. Mamish this case, no? It's the case of the glass of wine. Person dips in a piece of bread into the wine. It says in the Mishnah, and you could put together a whole kazayis. Chayev is chayev. Says the Gemara, that can't be from our Mishnah. Maybe there's so much wine. Oh, I have it right here. I don't have to go anywhere. Okay. Maybe there's so much wine. You see, I even put a kazayis there. The wine part is enough. I don't need to come onto the bread. There's so much wine. It's a whole kazayis worth of wine. Oh, so then what are you going to ask me? Then what do I need the bread for? If there's so much wine, so you drink a cup of wine. So you shkoyach. A Nazir drinks a cup of wine or kazayis of wine, he's chayev. And he also ate chocolate. And he also ate bread. So, doesn't make it worse. Says Gemara, but if there's a full share of wine, so what's the chiddush that it's aser? No. You have to drink it, you have to gulp it down. You can't drink wine in a food form. Chewing it. You can't chew wine down. You have to drink it down. Okay.
the shear?
No. I hear. Yeah. Well, Rebbe Kiva in the Mishnah was arguing on two things. There's 2 points. First of all, Rebbe Kiva is the one that came up with Kazayas, and also that's Mitzdarif. So, are you saying that was the thing, the Revius part? I hear. Not the Yishta. I hear. Maybe you're right. I hear. That's what they say? Okay, could be you're right. It makes more sense what you're saying. He's saying that he's arguing on the shear. Rebbe Kiva was saying the kazayis, not the eating part like I was learning, that he's chewing it down. It's more of the kazayis versus the revius. Okay, I hear. I have charativ so. El Rebbe Kiva the Braisa. So it can't be the Rebbe Kiva from our Mishnah because it's not. You can't force it into Rebbe Kiva this idea. But there's a Braisa that says mamish this idea that Rabbi Yochanan is saying. And it is Rebbe Kiva, not in our Mishnah, but it's Rebbe Kiva somewhere else. It's Rebbe Kiva Omer. Nazir sheshara pita b'yayin. If a Nazir, and by the way, if somebody tells me real pshat in shiur, it's not embarrassing, it's not this. I want to hear the real pshat. I want people to tell me that I'm making a mistake. I don't want this to go out to the world and I'm saying the wrong pshat. Rebbe Kiva Omer, Nazir sheshara pita b'yayin, v'ochal kazayis mipasu miyayin chayav. So it says mefurish over here. If you put both of them together, the wine and the bread, and there's a kazayis of the bread. It says, the kazayis of the bread and the wine together, then he's chayiv. And that's where Rabbi Yochanan is going according to. So don't tell me that the word mishras comes to say something else. No, there's a Tana called Rabbi Kiva, if not the greatest Tana from the greatest Tanaim, and he holds like Rabbi Yochanan, everything's great. Okay, so very simple. Rabbi Kiva is the one that says the word mishras comes to combine a heter and an iser. If you do a heter, you have a little bit of heter, a little bit of iser, it's aser. Litein tam ki'ikr minole. Now, this is where Taisus really says it. At the end of the day, there's a concept of tam ki'ikr, and why doesn't he learn tam ki'ikr from the pasuk? It makes more sense to learn the easier thing from the pasuk, that the flavor makes something completely treif. Flavor is like the main thing. It's as if you have real pork over here, as if you're eating pork. You're eating a piece of chicken, but it's considered chazer treif. Why? Because there's the flavor of chazer. So shouldn't Rebbe Kiva learn that from the pasuk first? So it's interesting that the Rishonim, some Rishonim don't even have these words in their Gemara. That's why in my Gemara there's parentheses there. But in Psachim they do have it. Yaliv mebasa b'chalav. Don't check out on me. It's so geshmak. These sugis, the musagim for the rest of your life. We learn from basar b'chalav, meat and dairy. Lav tam ba'almuhu basar. If you're eating steak that was cooked in milk, where's the milk? It's gone. But the milk penetrated the meat and gave it flavor. So what do you see? That tam kicker, just flavor alone. Milk is not a salad. Milk just went in, it's gone. I don't know where it is. Could you show me where the milk is? No. But it's also midaraisa to eat it because of the flavor shabai. Okay. So, a couple of things. First of all, I thought this was funny. Rabbi Goldstein, who lives down the block, who's a tremendous Talmud Chacham, I think Mende Yudaven there, Rosh Hashanah Kippur, he knows Kol HaTorah Kula backside forwards, unbelievable. And his father, they lived, he told me a few times, he lived in Moshe Feinstein's building. So his father asked Moshe Feinstein, I don't know if you lived in Los Angeles, you probably don't even know what these pictures are, but I lived in an apartment building in Farakwe, a really bad apartment building with Dov Shurin, and my mother got stabbed, Allah Shalom, and we got robbed, and the whole thing. Not by Dov Shurin. I don't think it was Dov Shurin. It was a guy that looked a little different. In apartment building, they have these chutes. It's a great invention. You take your garbage and on every floor, you put it in the chute. In those days, in the 70s, where did it go? Into an incinerator. You guys know what an incinerator is? You guys people don't even know. It burns the garbage. It's mamish great for the environment. You take plastics, everything, you throw it in, and it spews out this black smoke. I guess eventually they realized it's not such a great idea, and they stopped it. So Rav Goldstein asked Rav Moshe Feinstein, how is it mutter to throw your milk, like leftover ice cream and milk, into this chute? It's going to go down, and mix with the guy's steak in the incinerator, and it's mevashel basar b'chalav. What? You're not. Why is it not royal kelv? You're cooking. Where? No, you're taking great ice cream. First of all, have you ever seen dogs go through the garbage? They go rummage through garbage. You're cooking. You're okay. Anyways, fine. He told us it's not a good question. I just thought it was interesting. I was laughing when I saw it. Okay, he said, no, there's too many maybes. Maybe there's no meat there. Maybe that. Don't worry. Keep on throwing your.
Cooking oil from restaurants after it was used, and they buy these company.
Yeah. No.
So you have a dairy restaurant, a restaurant cooking oil together. I asked the shallow. They said it's not really kelly.
Yeah, your diesel oil is not really kelev. Your cooking oil that sits in the falafel store for 6 months is not royal achilas kelev. You're right. It's royal achilas falafel, but not kelev. Omar. Anyway, so another thing. Are you allowed to go into a McDonald's? It's a big shiloh. You're allowed to go into McDonald's. You get stuck on a highway and you have to go to the bathroom. Could you go into McDonald's? This is Marasayan. It's the whole thing. B'shas Chak maybe. And I was a yeshiva guy in Venice. I was 19 years old, and I wore the baseball cap. And an Israeli comes over and he goes, I'm like, I thought I'm a guy. How can you tell I'm Jewish? Mother, everyone knows you're Jewish with your baseball cap. Trust me. Okay, Yankees. With the tzikaz of the pious. Nobody knows I'm Jewish. Oh, I look Jewish? Like crazy? Okay. Fooled other people. Anyway, fine. And then finally there's a shiloh, very interesting shiloh that I saw, is basa b'chalav, you eat milk and dairy together, is a metamtem the Leib, like eating in a vela. Does it cause permanent spiritual damage? Tomer says it was chalav akum, yes. Okay, great. I think that's. Oh, hold on a second. Before I get to the chiddush, you got to say these things. I'm going weiter. That next week's parasha says Reishis Bikuri Ad Moscha Tavi Hashem Lekecha Leisavashok Di B'Chalevi Moy. Right? It's like Chamishi or Shishi. So what's Reishis Bikuri Ad Moscha? So I also once saw that there was a zgula. People thought that if you take basa b'chalav and you cook it together and you water your field with it, things will grow better and quicker. So that's why they're together in the pasuk. It tells you even if you're going to try to bring it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu quicker and you want to go there, don't use it. There's an isser bishul, even if you're not going to eat it. There's usher to cook basa b'chalav. Anyway, so Rabbanan say, where are we? Oh, so where does he learn the idea of? Where does Rabbi Akiva learn tam ki'ikar? Yolav me basa b'chalav. He learns the idea of tam ki'ikar from basa b'chalav. So just like basa b'chalav, tam ki'ikar, there is no chalav, but the actual meat becomes aser. Hachanami loishna. V'Rabbana me basa b'chalav gamrina. How come they don't learn Rabbanan who take the word mishras? And what do they learn from mishras? Tam ki'ikar. They don't learn heter mitzaref lister. They learn tam ki'ikar. Why don't they learn it from basa b'chalav? The chiddushu. Basa b'chalav is a huge chiddush. You can't. Once you have a chiddush, it's an interesting halacha. I can't learn anything else from interesting halacha. But what's the chiddush? My chiddush. You're allowed to eat a cup. You're allowed to drink a cup of milk. You're allowed to eat a steak. But when you put them together, they become aser. Kilayim nami. Any type of kilayim, whether it's on your clothing or planting 2 types of seeds or walking or plowing a field with 2 types of animals, they're both mutter, right? This the how do you say linen and wool? How do you say shatnez is flax and wool? Each one by itself is mutter. Put them together, aser. So I already saw that chiddush in the Torah. You're not allowed to make one cloth from it. If you marinate your steak in milk, is it mutter to eat? Yes. Minatayra, yeah, okay, I'm not passing any halachas. Minatayra, midaraisa, you're allowed to eat it. You also allowed chicken and milk and bishul chicken and milk. Midaraisa. All of a sudden you cook it, it becomes aser. So that's a huge chiddush. Where do you see that in the Torah that cooking something makes it worse? Cooking, you have an animal, it's 100% mutter to eat, but once you cook it, the nevela, all of a sudden then it becomes aser? No, a nevela is a nevela before you cook it. So if you marinate milk and meat, it's mutter, but if you cook it, then it becomes aser. What does Rabbi Kiva do? He has to admit it's a great chiddush. You're right, it is a great chiddush. And since it's a great chiddush, I can't learn the idea of tam keker from it. Ella, yol migulei oiv dikachavim. Hatzlacha of Aryeh Leib, ben Aliza Sheine Mashe, and Aliza Simcha Sheine Mashe, bat Bracha, Hatzlacha for the magid, and the members of the HBA Group and their families. Yol migulei oiv dikachavim. So the pasuk says, "Vayishbu bnei Yisrael and Midyan." I'm just showing you the first pasuk because we're talking about Midyan. Klal Yisrael destroyed Midyan. They took everything, their animals, the women, everything. It's called chelim bazu. And then the Torah tells us, if you so now they have kalim, they have vessels that they got from the goyim. What do you do with it? So you do hagalas kalim. This is the idea of kaboiloi kach poltoi. I have a great picture for that. Kaboiloi kach poltoi. The way you swallow it out, that's how you spit it back up. So if the goy used it as a vessel to boil food, so you take it out by boiling water in it. If the guy used it as a spit over a fire, so you need to put it over a fire. Same way, every time I say the sugya, I cannot stop thinking about, because I wasn't here so many times during the Pesach season, because I go to America, but the amount, they take up a whole parking lot right directly by my window, across from my house in a parking lot. The chesed of this organization I think it's Kupa Shel right? Kupa Shel Tzedakah. Tons of giant pots and people there do agalos came for free. You bring them the kli, they undo the knobs and the handles, and they have screwdrivers and machines, and people are working just so free. Hakol chesed. The other thing that I was inspired from is the food. You take your car, you go through this line, and you open up your trunk and they toss in free food. Well, is it free? Not really free. It's almost free. It's very, very cheap. Anyway, but so all the people volunteer. Okay, fine. Next, we can't talk about it too much. We don't have that much time. Says the Gemara. So what do you see over there? You see this idea. Without doing hagalas kalim, these pots from the guy would be aser. What's inside the pot? Nothing, just flavor. V'aser and it's aser. By the way, real quickly, this whatever you put in with fire, you have to take out with fire. So very, very important. The world stands on three things: Torah, avodah, gemilas chasadim. They say that that's opposite the three worst things in the world. Ritzicha, you do gemilas chesed. You took a life away, you do chesed. You bring avodah zara. What's the opposite of avodah zara? Tefillah, avodah. What's the opposite of Gila Arayis? Torah. If a person is over on Gila Arayis, his best way out of it and doing tshuva is learning Torah, bring him to the daf. Says the Gemara, Achanami v'aser. So you see, the guy, there's only flavor in the pot, and it's aser. So you see the idea in the Torah of tam keker, flavors like literal, as if you see little porks, little donkeys inside the pot. Sakam Rabbana don't learn it out. Why do they need a special word called mishras? This is a big chiddush that I can't learn from a chiddush. Oh, here we are. When there's a bad flavor, you're permitted to eat it. But there's a special halacha over here by Midyan that it's aser. That you have a bad flavor, it's mutter. Now check this out, Rabbi Isai. Here we go. Here's the animation for Noisen Tam Livgam. You ready? Here you go. This is a this is a pot, and it's cut in half. You see the flame on the bottom a little bit. This is a side view, like what is it called? What view? No, cross section. Here we go. Put a donkey in there. He's not doing so well. He cooked it up a little bit. He put a maychal in there, and now the blias of the donkey. Look what happens. Little donkeys go into the side of the pot. That's the blias. The isser goes into the pot. Now, if it's less than 24 hours, and they take the donkey out of there, and now they fill it up with water again, and they start cooking, what's going to happen? The little donkeys that are in the pot, here comes a cow, they just shechted it, they put the cow in the pot, and now the little blias from the pot go into the cow and make it red, make it aser. Hold on, we're not done yet. But if it's 24 hours, here's the clock, 24 hours, and now the donkeys become nasty green and different colors. It's disgusting meat that's 24 hours old. And now you took a goat and you shechted it. Here goes the shechting of the goat. Oops, I skipped it. Sorry, I went too fast. Here. Shechted, here's the goat. And now the blias, the disgusting blias, go into the goat. It's green. It's okay. You're allowed to eat it because it's more than 24 hours. So that is noisen tam levgam. Gam is a no good. You take the flavor and you put it into kosher meat, it's okay. Donkey in goat is okay if it's more than 24 hours. But in our case, by avodah zara, you're getting from a guy, you captured his kli. That's a special chiddush, and therefore Chacham say I can't learn from there. As a Gemara, but wait a minute, you have to agree, Rebbe Kiva, how could he learn it out? From Gi'uli Avedis Kachavim, this idea of Noisen, of Tam Ki'ikr, the Tam is like the real thing. It's a chiddush. Om Ravuna, how could I learn? Okay, it's a special halacha by Kli of a guy. But how can I learn it? Take that halacha and say, oh, a Nazir, if there's grapes soaked in water, it'd be awesome. Why should it be awesome? That by Midyan, the Torah was telling us the first case. Remember how the slide started? The first day, those donkeys are good, they taste good, then it makes everything in the pot awesome. And that, so it's not a chiddush anymore. The lav nois and dam lev gamu. That makes sense. Logically speaking, it should be awesome. And then the Torah says, so Rabbanon hold that even that first day, then because Lemais at the end of the day, meat starts spoiling right away. So therefore, let me just show you this to you real quickly here. It comes out a very, very simple thing, Rabbi said, not to get confused. We have two concepts here. Mishras, the word Mishras, which we learned stuff out of. And we have Ge'ulei Avodah Zara, the top word here in the Daf. Ge'ulei Avodah Zara is the pots from a guy from Midian. So Rebbe Kiva learns from the word Mishras. He learns the idea that you could take a piece of bread and wine, put them together, and now you're over. And what does he learn from Ge'ulei Avodah Zara? He learns Tam Ke'ikr. Right? Avi, Tam Ke'ikr. So now he learns two things. But Rabbanon say that you can't learn anything from Ge'ulei Avodah Zara. Why? Because Ge'ulei Avodah Zara is a special chiddush. So Memela, the word Mishras comes for the easiest limud. What's the easiest limud? Tam Ke'ikr. So there were Tam Ke'ikr for Mishras. And Rebbe Kiva, who says that Ge'ulei Avodah Zara is not a chiddush, so I can learn Tam Ke'ikr from Avodah Zara. So Memela Mishras could teach me a bigger chiddush of Heter Mitzaref L'Isur. I don't know if we can stop here. It's going to be terrible. Motzei Shabbos will be 6 hours. Let's do a few more lines. Let's learn a simple concept from Rabbanon, even though they argue, but we can learn the concept. What do Chacham learn from the word Mishras? The idea of Tam Ke'ikr. But I learned that idea even by a Nazir in the entire Torah. And what does Rebbe Kiva learn from Mishras? This Rabbi say, what's the problem? Rabbi Yochanan is the one that said that heter mitzaref l'isur is only where? By Nazir. Let Rebbe Kiva do the same thing that Chachamim do. Let's take one concept and spread it to the whole Torah. Because I see the same idea twice in the Torah. If the Torah wanted me to learn from a certain concept, said it by Nazir, spread it to the whole Torah, great. Why would the Torah repeat itself in another place? If the Torah repeats itself twice in two different places, the Torah is telling me you're locked out. It's only these two places. Because if I wanted you to learn from these two places, then I wouldn't do two places. I only do one place and learn for the whole Torah. The fact I'm telling you two is only these two. So, what are the two places? Nazir ad Amaron. We just said Nazir. We just learned this halacha of Tam Kikr. You're right. Heter mitzaref l'ser. Sign. Kol she'yigav b'bsara. Chadas mai. And where do you see this heter mitzaref l'ser? Sign. Kol she'yigav b'bsara yigdash. Yachal afilu shloi bala. So by a chatas, if anything that touches the chatas, let's say chatas juices go into another lighter type of carbon. Chatas is kachi kachim. You have kachi kalim. What's a good mashal of kachi kalim? Shlamim. So let's say the juices, the fat of a chatas goes into shlamim. What's the halacha? Yigdash becomes kaddish. Maybe I think it's not talking about that it absorbed it. It's inside its meat. Yigdash, what does it mean? Liyais kamaya. They should be identical. In other words, they should share the same halacha. If the chatas meat is already past its time, it's noisar, then the shlamim meat becomes aser. Vim ksheira, and if it's mutter to eat, tiyachal kechamer shaba. Where do you eat a chatas? Only in the Beis Hamikdash. Only by a kohen. Where do you eat a shlamim? Anybody can eat it. In Yerushalayim. Shlamim also sometimes has a chumrah. So I have to take the chumras of the shlamim and put it on the chatas. Let's say you shechted the shlamim a day earlier than a chatas. So then I have to stop eating it earlier than the chatas. So the chatas also. So Tam Kikr, Rebbe Kiva learns from Guli Avodah Zarah. So if I already, listen to what the Gemara is doing here. If I already learned Tam Kikr from Guli Avodah Zarah, so now I have, then it can't be that this halacha is talking about Tam Kikr. It can't be that the Torah is telling me that chatas is Tam Kikr. I already learned Tam Kikr. From where? From Avodah Zarah. So what's chatas? Chatas is the halacha of heter mitzaref l'ser. And now I have chatas heter mitzaref l'ser, and I have nazir mitzaref l'ser. I have shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad. Shnei ksuvim abam ke'echad. Ei melamdin. There's a big kasha here that the Olam is already asking. I see it in their head. Nazir is also, I already learned Tam Kikr from Nazir. Fine. Let's hold on. Do we keep on going? It's already 8:08. Shem Yirachem. Rabbanan Tzricha, because of Rahman, we started 5 minutes late. Rabbanan Tzricha, because of Rahman, gabi chatas have a mina nazir lo yasamina, mishum the nazir mikachim lo yalfina. Rabbanan say, wait a minute. If I just said it by a chatas, I can't learn a nazir from chatas. Why? There's always a halacha. You can't learn simple things from anything that's kachim, anything in the Beis Hamikdash. Because of Rahman gabi nazir, so I don't have what Chacham are doing here is I don't have two psukim. Two psukim me'milamdim is if they're normal. But over here, each pasuk is necessary. If each pasuk is necessary, then milamdim. You can learn out for the rest of the Torah. They cancel each other out. You hear? When you have two psukim milamdim, you can't learn anything from it. But if each pasuk is a special chiddush, I cannot learn nazir from chatos, so I have to say nazir. And I can't learn chatos from nazir, so I have to say chatos. So meilam milamdim to the whole Torah. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah. Because listen how chomer nazir is. He can't even eat a seed. Who eats seed? It's almost not real achila. Fine, we'll stop over here. We'll have to go over it again. Have a wonderful day.